let manage children and just stay on with that. And thank you guys. Before we jump into the prayer, we'll begin the show.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us come out here to the Hale County Life Coach Show. And please do with all the exhibitors today and let us all glorify you. Amen.
Thank you guys. That's the best of our youth, and we're proud of it. We'll start riding with class 1 of the Heifer. So we'll be the Americans, and this year we'll be our judge will be Brady Dragon from Kansas. So we'll wish all these kids good luck.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind, let's bring class 1, American Greek heifers to the staging area, please. Class 1. As they bring these heifers in, let me announce, introduce our judge today. Our judge is Brady Dragon from Canyon, Texas, I believe. Grew up over a little bit east of here. He grew up raising in Georgia. He graduated from Texas Tech with a master's degree in ruminant nutrition. While at Tech, he was on the 2011 National Champion Livestock Judging Team, receiving the high individual overall honor. He currently serves as the CEO of the Tri-State Fair and Rodeo in Amarillo, where he lives with his his family and wife. I think her name is Shay, is that right? Carly Shay. If you'll remember, he does our show last year, and we're really glad to have Brady back to Dutton show this year. Bring up your Class 1 American Bred Heifers, please. Okay, here in the ring now will be your Class 1 American Breed Heifers. With animals ranging in age from November of 22nd to May of 23. These are the 3 American Breed Heifers in the show, so your first and second place animals in this class will also be your breed champion breed reserve.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little chilly this morning, but we're gonna have a great show today. I'm excited to be back in Hale County. I appreciate the opportunity to be back and evaluate our efforts in our series. Last year was a phenomenal show, and I'm expecting a lot the same today in terms of quality, but more importantly, in terms of the quality of the young people and the youth, and just looking forward to a great morning here, even as the temperature starts to cool off. It's going to be great. We've got a great way to start us off here in our American division of our Heifer show. These three young people kind of drew the short straw this morning and had to get up early and get in here in our first class of the day. But they bring to us three really nice heifers. Obviously, one is a little bit different than the other two in terms of her character and her look and her style. And that's the one we're going to lead off with is the young man's grade heifer. She's pretty striking from the profile. I think that's her best view. Her look and her presence, the way her head neck sits really high and clean and elegant on the top of her shoulder, and really no chest floor, but then backs it up with plenty of rib and dimension. I love her top line, her hip and her rear leg set, especially standing still, is just phenomenal. That's an awfully good young May gray American influenced heifer there. Just a great way to start us off here in our heifer show. And then we've got two Beastmaster heifers, two young people doing a great job getting exhibited. One's a bigger black heifer, a little older, and one's a little skinnier and a little greener in the red one. I think they're both high quality. I think they're, the black heifer today showing just a little bit more volume of rib, a little longer body, more extended, obviously a little higher performing because she's a little older. But she's still a nice female, it's smooth made, real feminine. Probably not quite the overall look and style of our class leader, but relative to her breed and for what she represents, I think an awfully nice female for this young lady. And then the young man is doing a good job with the red heifer, a little greener in terms of her type and time, but she's got some foot and bone and feature to her. I think a female that's got a pretty good look whenever she kind of settles down here in the show ring. I think that's a good pair as well and got a bright future. Let's put our hands together and congratulate all three of those exhibitors here in the first class of the day.
Your placings in this first class, Green Heifers. Third place is Adeline Brook, class in 4H. Second place, Adeline Brook, class in 4H. And the third champion, American Breed. First place is Owen Holder, Adeline 4H, with the champion American Breed. You go ahead and bring in your first class of English or breed. This will include Heifers English Shorthorns. These heifers rank in age from March of 2023 to May of 2023.
really highly competitive first class British cattle here. The top two, I think, are awfully good, especially relative to their breed. I think both of them present a lot of quality, a lot of value, both the show heifer, but especially on down the road as cows. I think this Hereford heifer is awfully nice to lead off with. She's one that, it's really hard to put a big major foal in this particular lineup. They're all relatively similar in terms of their age, some differences, of course, but it's still between her contemporaries here. I think she's generated a tremendous amount of rib shape, body volume, depth. I love her heart, her forehead. I think she's just very symmetrical as you study her down there through her midrib and back to her rear rib and flank. Above that, she's a muscular female. I think she's the class leader in terms of fitness when you stand behind them, down her top and out of her hip, and then she still has a neat feminine look up to her front end. If you're going to be just very, very picky on her, she's not the biggest in her bone work from her hock down to her foot. Maybe she's just a little off the hooks to pins, but that's being pretty picky of a female that's wide, thick, and bold, and yet still so feminine and good looking from the profile. Probably as striking as any from the side view is our short-horn heifer that's in second. She is outstanding up to her front one third, got a good slope there to her knee and her front shoulder. She just draws back with an awesome look, a very well-patterned female. She actually corrects our class winner from hooks to pins. I like her better in that regard. A female that I don't think quite today has the boldness when you step right behind her, the fitness as our Hereford female. I think she maybe gets out forced just a little bit in that regard, but talk about one that patterns up well, that's built well, that's got the look. She certainly does her thing. Our Hereford heifer coming out next is probably the biggest frame female in the whole class. She's really generated a lot of height and length and extension. To go along with that, maybe we can see her have just a shot more depth of body and rib in the profile. But the young man's doing a good job showing. He's got long, extended, strong top, sound structured female that I think with the calf in her down the road, I think she could really body down and have that extra depth. Today, maybe she just looks a little shallower in terms of her body. And then the one that we close with, a nice female, one that the young ladies work with. I think we got some rib and some substance in this female. She just maybe gets out mass a little bit compared to those in front of her. Needs just a shot more bone. But all in all, congratulations to all four of those exhibitors. Let's congratulate them with a nice round of applause.
Placing from this first class of heifers. Fourth place is Harold Reed, Tabernacle FFA. Third place, Justice Curry, Tabernacle FFA. Second place, Patrick Holder, Tabernacle 4H. First place is Reed Evans, Petersburg FFA. Bringing in class 3, English Reed heifer. These heifers range in age from April of 2022 to January of 23. If you'll bring your first and second place heifer from class 2 back into the main the championships of T3. If the race you're currently going, the steer show will be expected to occur starting right around 9:30, will not start before 9:30.
very interesting trio here. Certainly three cattle that could probably be placed anyway. And I'm just trying to be honest with you as I'm judging today on kind of what I'm seeing. And, I think this class provides about as much trade-off for high-quality cattle as you can find. I think that each one of them have a thing or two that we can change, and I think they would just be runaway class winners. And if they were changed in that one area, it'd just be easy. But at the end of the day, we're just kind of nitpicking little things here to try to get in place, and just what we entertained here today. Ultimately, it started off with this young man's red Angus heifer at the lead, and to me, she's undeniably the most attractive female from the profile. I think she's the one that puts her head neck the highest and cleanest off the top of her shoulder. I think she's the one that's got the most attractive set to her hip and rear leg. I think when the young man gets her kind of parked and set up inside, she's the one that's got the balance, the eye appeal, the style. And she backs it up with a pretty stout hip and rear leg, good footed, big bone type female. There's no denying that I'd like to open her up just a little bit in her chest floor. I'd like to give more shape to her forehead. I'd like to maybe see her just a little stouter, especially compared to the two behind her in terms of her pin width and down low. Those things I'm not denying, but at the same time, she's the one that I like the best, just in terms of the way that she's put together, her attractiveness, her profile, her style, her elegance. I think she's the one that, for me at least, is the place to start. The one in second, she's the one that's pretty out there, especially for red Angus, in terms of her rib shape, her muscularity. She certainly complements our class winners because she's just got that extra boldness to her. When you get behind her, she's so round and deep in her rib cage. She's so wide and dimensional in terms of her muscularity. She too has got a pretty neat, refined neck set about her. Just a few more things on her, every now and then. To me, she runs downhill just a shade. She gets just a little forward in her shoulder angle a bit. Kind of when we get her on the move, she maybe wants to rise up in her top line just a shade. Just a few little things here and there, I think, compared to the one we lead off with. Maybe just not quite the balance in her lower chest relative to her flank. Just little things, I think, on that particular heifer that to me sort very consistent. And then the oldest heifer, the Hereford, she's the biggest rib. She's the most probably just overall functional and her the cowiest in her look. Heck, if you want to run that one all the way up to first, I wouldn't fight you too hard. For me, she gets just a little plainer about her throat and her chest. Maybe has the most general set to her hip and rear leg, but you get behind her, you love her rib, you love her muscularity, you love her dimension, you love her cow power. I thought it a very difficult class here. There were just some aesthetic things as you study her that maybe, compared to some really high quality cattle, that drop her down to third for me. So hopefully, no matter how you have them lined up in your head, that's the way that you see them as well, or we can agree with what they are. Those are three outstanding British cattle. Let's put our hands together to congratulate those young people.
Your place in this class 3 British heifers. Third place, Reed Evans, Petersburg FFA. Second place is Holly Parton, Abernathy 4-H. First place is Holly Parton, Abernathy 4-H. If you'll bring it back in the first and second place heifers from the English League, the championship of the English League.
our second division champion here, but our first decision within our championship division since we only had one class as Americans. You know, I think we've got two awesome classes out here. We've got first and seconds that I think are well represented, and they come back as you hope that they would as a judge, and they represent their classes well, they represent their age division, their breeds. To me, you know, we've got two really good representatives. Closest to me as our first places, and then two awesome seconds. The Hereford Heifer, you know, to me, she's one that, like we talked about in class, it's hard to put a big major bull in. I love her rib shape, especially for her age and where she's at. I like the way she combines kind of a three-dimensional view and still is neat, clean, and attractive up through her front end. You know, we could pick her up just slightly in her pin bone. Maybe she's not the absolute stoutest from her hop to the ground, but it fits her, and it helps her still reading refined and feminine. I love the way her shoulder angle lays onto her body, especially coming in right into her forehead and then back to her rear rib and flank. You get behind her, she's just got a ton of dimension. I like that heifer a lot. And then we just talked about the red English female. I don't know how many years this young man can show, but it can't have been very many. And you're doing a great job with a really neat looking red English female. I mean, she is wicked looking from the profile. To have that neck set and that extension and still that hip and that rear leg, those are things that I personally like. You know, you get behind her and you just talk her in class. Could she be just a little wide, a little bolder? I think so, but as a red cow or a red heifer down the road, I think she's just going to look the part because she's so cool in the way that she's built. Then our second, you know, right there in the middle of this competition. But for me, our champion in reserve come out of our first place lineup. I like our Hereford to be champion and our red English to be reserve. Congratulations.
Your champion, Heifer in the English breed, Reed Evans, Petersburg FFA. Your reserve champion, Collie Park, Appalachian Forest. If you'll bring in class forward, your first class of the exotic Heifer League. We call these exotic. This basically are heifers that are from the continental breeds in Europe, and it's how they kind of get away from the English breeds of the Hereford English and short lines.
Really good class here. Some variation in terms of where these heifers are at. I think provides some challenges, and then you've got some difference in some breed composition. Limousine female here, limousine influence is going to go ahead and lead off with Mark female. Sure generated a lot of performance weight per day of age at this stage. And she's a big heifer, female that kind of overwhelms everything just from that standpoint in terms of bone and foot, feature, and power. I mean, she's a nice heifer, don't get me wrong. She's got a lot of width, she's got a lot of rib shape. I still think she puts it together, especially her hip and her real X-set really neat. She handles herself well. Compared to some cattle that come right behind her, she could be maybe a little bit more feminine and conservative about her shoulder and her front skeleton a little bit, but from there back, it's just kind of hard to overlook her mass or dimension or performance, just her overall weight in this line. Probably the one that I like the best for the future is right here in second. This heifer is wicked cool up there her front end. She's got a super neat hip and her rear leg set. She's got a bunch of flex there in her passer. I mean, probably as much as we'd want, and that's something that I like to see. But it helps her be so soft and comfortable and very, very, just very comfortable as she hits the ground. I like that about her. Relative to her age, she looks just right on point in terms of maturity. To me, I think you get behind her and she still tracks wide, square. She's still got rib shape. I think that female from down the road is awfully good. She's built how I like it. She's feminine, up-fronted, clean-chested, great to look at. Just an awfully nice female there to sit in number 2. The heifer in third, I thought these two cattle kind of look too much alike to split within the group. I think she follows the type and kind. She's even just a little more extreme in terms of her front end. She's a little more out there in terms of that regard, and then she draws back with an extra cool look as well. You get in front of her, maybe get behind her. I don't think she's quite as opened up to her chest or maybe quite as stout long term, but She's going to have a wicked neat look. Like I said, I thought those two cattle in the middle of the class probably looked more similar than they did different. It was hard for me to split them within this lineup, so they lined up second and third. And then this is a great semi-tall influence female here that leads the class. So there's not a whole lot wrong with her. She's great body, she's great hips, she's got muscle and rib. In this particular group, and we've got some different breed compositions working here. Maybe just a nickel flanger about her head and her chest, just a notch more coordinated on those rear two and that rear ankle. But for what she is, especially relative to the breed, that's an awesome female with a lot of good to her. The young lady, no doubt, has worked hard with her. I think she's going to be competitive amongst her own contemporaries. So let's congratulate an awesome class of Continentals. Congratulations to all four of those.
Placing to this last four exotic females. Fourth place is Braden Rasco, Petersburg FFA. Third place, Colin Holder, Abernathy 4H. Second place, Patrick Holder, Abernathy 4H. First place, Justin Head, Abernathy FFA. If you'll bring in your fast five, top 10 breed Heifers, please. These Heifers will rank in age from June of 2022, June of 2022 to November of 2022.
We'd like to thank Brody Rackman again for judging the heifer show. Brody grew up raising and showing cattle near Lubbock. He graduated from Texas Tech University with his master's degree in ruminant nutrition. While at Tech, he was a member of the 2011 National Champion Livestock Judging Team, receiving high individual overall honors. He currently serves as the CEO of the Tri-State Fair and Rodeo in Amarillo, where he lives with his wife, Arlie Shea.
Another really good class here. Definitely some give and take here all the way through, particularly on these top three. I think we've got Simmental and High Main, Key, and Limousine, and Charlotte. So we've got all kinds of kinds in here together. I think they're all really, really, really good cattle. I think there are just some things about each one of them that if we could change, I think make a real convincing winner. Ultimately, I thought this Simmental female was a great place to land. I think, in this particular lineup, she is just kind of overwhelming in terms of her body shape, the dimension that she's generated all the way through. The three-quarter view of her, and you get behind her and you look up high at her rib design. I think she does the best out of these top three of providing us a tremendous amount of turn and spring and spread. She's big-footed, she's heavy structured, she's got some muscle, and she's still feminine or maternal, I should say, in her look. I guess in terms of just outright femininity, we could probably dress her up a little bit at the top of her crest and the base of her chest. I think we could tone her down in her tailhead and give her just a bit more attractive set to her rear leg. Those are all things I'm seeing, no doubt. But at the same time, I think she's good enough in terms of balance and profile to go ahead and capitalize on her body, her rib, her boldness, her stoutness of feature. I just think she makes a nice, real kind of cowy, real stout one to go ahead and win this particular class. One that's a little different in terms of her type and kind is the one in second. She is really kind of corrects our class winner in a lot of ways. Tremendously sleek up through that front end, really good through the base of her chest. She too got some bone and foot feature. I think she's really sound structured when she gets out on the move. She does so a little bit because she drops her pins just a notch. She's maybe one that as you get right behind the cattle, you look up high and you look at the boldness in their forerib and all the way through. It's just not quite as bold and dimensional right there as our class winner ended up being. Like I said, maybe we level her just a shade from hooks to pins, drop her every point, but being pretty picky of an awfully good one. Limousine female here coming up next, probably the most striking from the profile. She's a little bigger frame, stretchier type heifer. I love her hip and her rear leg set. She's probably as good as anything in the class. It's setting down an awesome hip and an awesome rear leg. She's got some extension up through her front end. Her view, I guess, that leads her third to me is not anything to do with the side view. It's when you get right behind her to a three-quarter view. I'd like to open her up in her chest just a shade, and with that, I think we could open her up at the top of her forehead, maybe pick her apart just a shade in terms of her pin set and the way that she makes us go away. But beautifully designed female, one that comes to us with a tremendous amount of look, a lot of quality, especially for the limousine breed, to put together that striking of a profile. I think is pretty impressive. And then our Charolais female we close with a lot of stretch, a lot of length, a lot of muscularity, as you would expect with the Charolais breed. Probably just not quite enough body or look today, but Emily did a really good job showing, and proud of you for exhibiting this project out here. Let's congratulate this particular class with a nice round of applause.
You're placing this last final of continental breed of heifers. Fourth place is Courage Carter from Abernathy FFA. Third place, Courage Carson, Abernathy FFA. Second place, Owen Holder, Abernathy 4H. And first place is Braxton Rastro of Peterborough FFA. If you'll bring the first and second place, we'll probably back into the green, please. Coming back into the ring will be Braxton Glasgow and Owen Holder. Also, Justin Head and Patrick. Correction in the barn a little bit. The steer show will start around 10 o'clock.
I think really good division here, and as you would expect, Continental cattle bring a lot to the table. A lot of variation here. I mean, I know they're all black cattle out here in these top four, but we've got multiple different breeds represented, and I think it shows in the way they're put together. So I'm not going to say that all four of these are exactly the same in terms of the way they're made, because they're not, and that's just how it is. But I think relative to their class and relative to their breed and what they stand for, I think they're all very, very good cattle. I think out of that younger class in this particular lineup, the limousine female. She's pretty nice. I think for a female that starts good at the ground, really neat hip and rear leg. I think still good enough in her front end quality, but then above that, I think is where she really excels. She's huge middle. She's absolutely massive out of her hip. A big top, muscular female. I still think she stays feminine and refined enough to go along with the amount of power that she's got in her back. And then I really like her on the move. I think she can get out and handle herself. Especially for all that dimension that she brings to the table, just a nice female in that regard. And then our younger heifer there, I talked about her in class, maybe one of my favorites for down the road in terms of how she's built up front, love her at the ground, I like her bone work, she's stout without being coarse in any way, good shoulder, good body. In this particular grouping, maybe does she have quite enough to her? That's the question mark, but I think for down the road, that one's still as good as any of them. In terms of her future. Then our older class there, second class, we have all kinds of time, particularly in that top three. This Simmental female that we landed on, I think a huge rib, really stout, really cowy looking one. You could pick her apart in places too from a balance standpoint, her front end, her chest floor, the way she kind of carries her rear leg, both standing and on the move. But there's no denying that she's a dense female. Tremendous amount of bone, tremendous amount of rib all the way through. And our second in that class, just totally different in her type of kind. So sleek fronted, so good shoulder, still built bone and stout structure. Maybe one that doesn't quite come to us as bold in the center portion of her body. Maybe gets off just a shade and puts the pin in the asterisk lead, but awfully nice female that's tremendously smooth made. So that's the way I see these cattle. I think you could go a lot of different directions. Ultimately, I like this youngest female to be our champion and our older female to be our
Your champion, Continental Breed Heifer, Justin Hale, having at the FFA. Your reserve champion, Brandon National, Petersburg FFA. If you bring in your champion, reserve champion heifers from your American breed, your English breed, and your Continental breed for the Grand Champion heifer, reserve Grand Champion heifer.
Please don't forget to visit the concession stand. They have lots of goodies. They have donuts, burritos, candy, coffee, warming up, big fundraiser that help out the town.
for those of you who are here to watch the show and to take in the activities of the show, we will show the grand champion female. Immediately after the grand champion female, we will announce showmanship awards, both junior and senior showmanship awards in every division. Besides the government band, we also receive a $100 card from Texas. And then we will announce the reserve grand champion at the conclusion of that announcement.
Well, as we come to the end of the Heifer show, I knew there would be a lot of quality, obviously from my time last year, just growing up. Hale County just has a tremendous amount of families and exhibitors that know what the heck they're doing and can get one put together and found and showed. And today's no different than that. Looking forward to the series show, so we'll move right on into that. But at the same time, I think we should give these Heifer exhibitors who got up early this morning on this cold morning a big round of applause before we go any further. We had 3 good divisions, just awesome quality, some differences. Obviously, you got some different breeds represented within each particular division, so that makes a challenge. We didn't have much challenge here on the top side of things on the first division in terms of finding the gray one. Man, she's awesome to look at. Probably as striking as anything in the whole group. What a future that she has. Just a tremendous amount of look and eye appeal and style. Just a lot built into that female for now and for down the road. And the big black heifer, just going to make a productive cow, long-bodied and extended, and Lane's doing a good job trying to get her exhibited out here. And then our British division, some differences. Obviously, we have Hereford heifer here on the top end that I just like a great deal. The center portion of her body, for where she's at, frame and maturity standpoint, I think is right on point. I think you get behind her and you're impressed. I like her look. I like her extension and her cleanliness up to her front end. She's extended without being too refined about her jawline, and I think that shows in the shape to her forehead and on back. She's not the stoutest bone in the world. Maybe you pick her up in her pin set just to shape, but lots of quality in that female. And then the red heifer, I think, is built with the best of them in terms of her look on the side, awesome profiling. maybe needs just a shot or just total punch to the center portion of a rib, but so much look and style and balance in that one. And then our continental division, we knew it'd be tough. Two black heifers here that I just think bring a lot to the table. They're both very dense. Limousine heifer that we ended up using, one that from the ground up, I think is built extremely good, big footed, soft footed, heavy structured, huge in terms of her rib shape. You get behind her and she's square pinned and fit, a lot of top shape. Still does so while providing a neat look, a lot of cow power built into that female. Maybe she could be condensed in her shoulder just a shade, or has just a nickel crest, but I think fits the rest of her body because she's just so stout. When the city heifer was observed, so much body, rib, and stoutness of foot and bone, a little heavier in her chest floor, maybe a bit more coordinated off her rear too, but you got to appreciate the quality and the density and the stoutness of that particular female. So that's kind of how I see him out here in this particular lineup. I won't talk any Murph anymore, but we'll go out and select the champion and reserve. One more big round of applause to the kiddo before we.
Your grand champion heifer is Justin Hale, Abernathy FFA.
Okay, well, I'm going to announce junior showmanship. Again, I'd like to thank Ag for $100 gift cards for both junior and senior showmanship. Okay, our junior showman is Owen Holder. And our senior showman is Carson Curry.
Your reserve champion heifer comes out of the American breed with class is Owen Holder. Abernathy FFA 4A, excuse me. That is the conclusion of the heifer show. We appreciate your attendance, appreciate your support of these kids. As previously mentioned,